Pretty exciting. So I wanted to take a couple minutes and show you guys some of the new things hitting the website. I'm going to start off strong with a brand new release from Paddock Philip. This is the 5530 World Timer, and for the first time ever, we have a World Timer with a date. The date is all around this outside track here, and we have a lovely indexing hand with a red finish on it to tell you what date it is. That is tied to your local time zone, so whatever you have selected here at 12 o'clock, in this case it currently says London, we can move that around, Moscow, and as we do that, that date will stay tied to your local time, but still giving you the time zone, correct time in all the other time zones. This comes on the very controversial blue fabric strap. Some say it's denim, I don't know. But it's lovely. It's a beautiful shade of blue. The guilloche in the center of the dial is absolutely stupendous. I mean, it's everything you'd expect from a Patek. It wears perfectly. The proportions, the case is elegant. I think they really knocked it out of the park with this, though I've always been a fan of Patek's world timepieces anyway, so I'm a little biased there. So that is the 5530G in white gold. And then for something completely different, I believe this is already reserved, but I wanted to show it to you guys anyway. This is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Everest Chronograph. The original Everest was a dual time, and they made that, it sold out immediately, and then the Chronograph, I think, was at the same time, or was a very soon follow-up. It has, the differences from the original are the bezel is titanium, so you get a very cool kind of different finish on that with this darker metal, and you have a textured dial that I'm going to try to capture in the camera, but it's got a beautiful, there we go, thank you, Adam. It's got a beautiful texture on it, which contrasts really nicely against the luminous hands and markers with the orange accents on the chronograph here. Everything else spec-wise is the same. We have a different strap to go with that gray textured dial and the orange inserts. These are super duper rare, and I feel like most of the people who have them now are holding on to them. So we don't see them often. Maybe we get one a year, whether it's the chrono or the dual time. And I think, as I said, this one is already gone, but a lovely watch from Vacheron and a great connection to outdoors and explorers and things like that. So I like that as well. Then, moving back to the dress watches, all the way from Germany, we have the Longa, actually it's a grand Longa one, and this was known as the Luminous, not to be confused with the Lumin, where you have a transparent dial. This was a special watch, and it was very different for Longa because they always did the applied markers and like very restrained kind of thing. In this case, we have these oversized luminous Roman numerals, and over here the small seconds, all of that, and we have lume within the hands. And this was a real departure for Longa, and something really very interesting from them that we have not seen anything like this since. This is in the larger case. This is a, I can't remember if it's 41 or 42, but this is the bigger size for the Longa one. The proportions are the same, but in these early ones, we also have these overlapping dials, which a lot of people didn't like, but I think it lends a really great character to the watch because it's not something we see from the brand anymore. Other than that, beautiful, typical Longa finishing, absolute perfect execution all the way around, 3-day movement, big date, everything you want, and then some stuff you didn't know you needed, but now you do, trust me. Absolutely killer version of the Longa one. These are from the early 2000s, and we really do not see a lot of these. It's a pretty rare watch, so excited about that one. Then I wanted to pull out something that was on a slightly more accessible level, but something that I still thought was a really, really great watch, and I've liked these since they came out. This is the 1957 Omega Seamaster. So this was in 2017, they did this tribute to the original 3 sport models from Omega. You had the Speedmaster, the Seamaster, and the Railmaster. And so this one here, we have the Seamaster. Originally, These would have had a Bakelite bezel. They were terribly fragile. Many of them haven't existed. So here, I'm pretty sure we just have a polished aluminum bezel, but it has the countdown timer on it, which is so weird. So it goes like 10, 20, 30. It's backwards from what you would normally expect. We have the matte gray dial that you found on the originals. We have the broad arrow hands, and they did a good job of replicating the old school flat link bracelets that we don't see anymore. And it sings true to the proportions of the original one. It fits beautifully on the wrist. It's one of those watches where like you want a diver, but you don't want a sub. You don't want a regular like Seamaster Professional. This gives you a tremendous option that I think looks really cool. It gives you a lot of versatility. It looks great on a strap. Very cool watch. They were limited, but they were limited to 3,000 something. So they are out there and around. Nice dome on the crystal too. You can even see that in the camera there, which brings you back to kind of the old plastic crystals, though that is not. That is sapphire. But a great watch from Omega. We don't see these as often as you would think, but they are around. And then we are finishing with a pretty remarkable Rolex. Oh, thank you, Justin. I'll work on my German for the next one. So we have the Rolex Day8 40 in rose gold with the Eisenkeisel dial. And this is a quartz stone that has an iron ore in it that gives it this beautiful red burgundy kind of vein texture in there. Each one is different. Each one is unique. This is, I think, in the tradition of Rolex in terms of doing Stella dials and doing stone dials, working with onyx, working with lapis and things like that, sodalite. This is such a killer addition to that. The rose with the dark stone, and then of course 10 beautifully cut baguette diamond hour markers. This is a king Day8 in my opinion. It doesn't get any better than that. I usually would go 36, but I would wear this, and I would wear this often and proud. You get the typical rose gold presidential bracelet. You get the fluted bezel, all of the usual accoutrement you'd expect with this, but with one of the nicest dials I have seen from Rolex, you know, in the recent releases. My second favorite being that onyx dial they put on the yellow gold, but I think ultimately given the choice, I'd go this way. So this also has just hit the site. Super exciting. Probably only the second one we've seen, I think, since they came out, which was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Because I remember being offered these when they first came out and they were tremendously expensive. They have since corrected with the rest of the market, and now I think at current secondary market values, it's a fabulous watch and a great Day8 for somebody who wants something with this kind of power and gravitas, but you don't want a standard black or sundust or silver dial or something. So that is 5 of our new arrivals that have just hit the site. I thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on our next stream. Bye-bye, everybody.